Hello there, Voxlblade players, and welcome to Voxlblade. So, nah, I'm just kidding. Emperor Mungus is a myth that has been going around in the Discord server where many people has been claiming that he was a secret boss in the game, providing evidences with images and videos of themselves in-game with Emperor Mungus, and I'm sorry to say, but he's fake. You see, the image of the Rift portal on the Trello isn't the original, but actually, this was. What happened is that they realized that the first image of the Rift was not convincing because of this weird font to it, and if you look closer, it has a level 80 requirement instead. So they re-upload another image, which is the one that we see today on the Trello, and as you can see, the re-upload has a level 85 requirement to it. This first image actually showed up in the Trello was on one of their logs, but they deleted it to hide the trace so that nobody suspected that it was fake. But what about the video containing Emperor Mungus in-game? That's just exploits. If you watch one of Agamatsu's rogue lineage unsolved, specifically the rogue mech, he clearly explains in the video that people use exploits to inject models into the game. And this was all before the Bifont anti-exploits, so that's how you know it's fake. Because now with the Bifont anti-exploits, you can't actually just inject models in the game, because you'll get banned for exploiting. So sadly, Emperor Mungus is fake. But that's not the purpose of why I'm making this video. You see, this video is all going to be about... So on day one, I decided I wanted to create my own version of Emperor Mungus from the Trello. So I started up Roblox Studios and got to work. But as I was making his arm, it just looked like I just copied the arm from the Trello and just added a few more things to make it look cooler. So I sketched the whole arm and remade it to make it more original and more cooler. I also wanted to call my own version of Mungus Sporelord Mungus, and it fits well with the mobs in Voxlblade being Sporling and Spore Boss. Also, I added this screw here to make a second part of his arm so that he has like 2 long arms where he can like bend and move. I also made roots that like connect to the arm as if he was infecting the arm or like controlling it. Pretty much my version of Mungus isn't gonna be like a robot, but just like a Sporling that took over a robot, if that makes sense. So I finished the arm, copied and pasted, and called it a day. With the arms finished from day one, it was time to make the torso part of Mungus. Also, another thing is I didn't make any concept art of Mungus, so I don't really have any references to look out. So I just like pictured the whole body in my mind to like make his torso. Actually, I lied. I just used it like the Steam Golem as my reference to like make the torso part of his body, and I wanted to like make his head like sticking out of it, or his arms also sticking out of it, or something like that, you know, like infecting the Steam Golem. So using the Steam Golem as my reference, I got to work on making the torso, and it doesn't look too bad. I also used the train pipes from Google as an inspiration to make his back pipes. After that, I started coloring the whole entire body, which kind of took a while, but you know what? It's pretty good, I guess. After I finished the torso, I started working on his head. I wanted to like make Mungus look like a monster, you know, like taking over just like Steam Golem and like making it as his own body. You know, kind of like in real life where fungus is actually just like decomposed dead bodies or something. So I got an old model from one of my old projects and like took its head. Now why I take its head? Look at this. Cool, right? So I used my old model as a reference to making his head. I have this lava here as well, so every time he screams, you can see the lava coming out of his mouth. I also made this furnace door too that would open and close. It'll look super cool once I finally just like start animating him. After creating a head, I made these roots that were like coming out of his torso, so it would like slither around or like be something, I don't know. Be his legs, I guess. So after finishing our roots, I started making this mushroom so I can like copy and paste it all around his body to like make it look more fungus. But I realized it was getting late, so I went to bed. Alright, so I was at school thinking about my Mungus model, and I was a bit disappointed on how he looked so far, since the roots and head made him a bit goofy looking. So I decided to revamp the whole head since the torso was already okay, and remove the roots. I decided that instead of Mungus being a monster, he could just be like a very smart Sporling that took over a body of a Steam Golem. And pretty much using the body of the Steam Golem, that's how he was able to strive in the Tundra map because of the heat protecting him. And because he was smart, he's able to create other Steam Golems, I guess. I don't know, man. I'm not a developer of this game, so I don't know. So his head is now sorted and his cap is more wider to give him a more goofy smart guy look. I then started to create his eyes, which were inspired by Minecraft dungeons, so that I can animate his eyes and give him more expressions. I also made him retractable legs so that he would have two forms, one which is a direct inspiration from the Trello, where he could be walking around using his two arms to avoid being hit from the players below, and then second, he would walk around on his legs to shoot people with his blasters. So after finishing his head and legs, I was honestly pretty happy about how he looked, and also yes, the cap is a bit off, but I was too lazy to like make it better, so I left it like that. I also made a humanoid root part to get ready to rig and animate him for tomorrow. Alright, it's day 4 and it's time to rig and animate this guy. But before I did, I decided to actually finish his mushroom cap. I used the Sporling's Spore Bus as a reference to his mushroom cap, and it took me quite some time to finish his mushroom cap. I eventually finished it, which took me an hour to do, by the way. With that finished, it's time to rig Mungus. Also, if you're wondering why sometimes the clock would just jump from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, it's because I usually take breaks and eat dinner. I have a life. So I started off rigging the mushroom cap and head first, but before I could do that, I forgot one essential thing. I forgot to name all his parts. So I renamed all his parts and I could finally start rigging his parts together. And after some time, I finally finished rigging him and look dang. And after some time, I finished rigging him and dang, look at all those strings. I was pretty tired and I was feeling pretty lazy, so I decided to call it a day and let future me take over. Day 5, there wasn't too much exciting stuff that happened. I had a TSI test, then went to a restaurant, then came back home at like 11 PM. And I was feeling super tired. For this day, I just decided to make a boss arena for Mungus, which would be this tiny island surrounded by lavas and walls, just like a prison for him. So I made a concept of what it would look like to give my future self some reference, then got tired and went to sleep. There wasn't too much on day 6. I got my cousin Fizz to help me work on a map since he's a good buildable player, so I shifted my focus on creating a cutscene, which you guys might have saw somewhere in a Discord bug report called "Please fix the skip button to Mungus cutscene." So I worked on a good portion of the animation, and while I was working on the animation, my cousin Fizz decided he wanted to EXP farm him early. In every game, the only way to make a boss super epic is just by what the hell?
It's the Iron Slayer sword.
EXP farm.
I finished a good portion of the animation and called it a day once again. Ah yes, day 7, which has now been a week. Honestly, this video might go forever, but I keep splitting section of this video into days, where most of the footage is just map making, and which took way too long than it should have. So I'm gonna sum it up all in days in order for the video to not drag too long. So day 7 was just more map making. I made a giant rocky bridge to the boss arena, and if you haven't saw, Fizz made a hallway that looked like the one on Trello, because that was gonna be like the entrance to his big prison, but we never finished it. So I worked out a portion of the animation and called it a day. Day 8 was just working more on Mungus animation cutscene, nothing too special. I was actually working on the animation the whole day, and I think my cousin was working on the map in the background, but I have no clue. Day 9, 10, 11, and 12 were exam days from school, so I did nothing but sleep. So on day 13, I scrapped the idea of the boss arena map because it just took way too long, like way too long. And I feel like if I take too long, I'm about to lose relevancy, or people is gonna take this idea first. So I'm gonna have to try to make this as fast as I can. So most of the time I was just adjusting the atmosphere so I can get ready to record for that Mungus cutscene that I sent in bug reports. After finishing up recording the cutscene, I started to work on his actual animations, the concept of his move sets or something. So I started out with his idle animation. At first he was supposed to have 2 forms because he's supposed to stand on his arms, but I scrapped that idea, so he's just gonna stand on both his legs. I wanted to make him robotic to make sure that he matches the atmosphere of Voxlblade. I'm not gonna put you through the pain of me walking through all of the animations I made, so I'm just gonna list them all here right now. Then I made his attack animations, starting with his blast attack where he shoots from his right arm. Then his multi-attack where he shoots multiple projectiles with his right arm. Then an attack where he opens his furnace door, grabs the lava inside of him, and shoots it up in the air like a meteor shower. Also, if you want to watch the cutscene, I have it posted before this video, so you can watch that. Originally, I was supposed to post my fake cutscene here in suggestions, but like, now it's level 25 requirement. Do I really want to break the rules just to add a funny idea among us and bug reports? Yes, I do. Yeah, boy. I'm pretty sure this is not gonna fool anybody, but you know what? Yeah, I don't know. And that's pretty much it with my Mungus concept. I'm pretty happy about how it went. My only issue I had with this concept is that I focused way too much on the map, which took me too much time. And I don't know when Voxlblade would update, because if it updated, then the relevancy of my concept would have been for nothing. Anyways, this project took me about 21 days. All because of exams and me focusing on the map too much. After finishing my concept among us, it is now your turn to make your own concepts. What I mean by this is that after this video releases, I want you guys to either go into the comments and make a suggestion of a potential mob that should be added to the game, or go into the Discord suggestions and ping me a concept of a mob, or if you're an artist, you can draw a concept or a suggestion of a mob and DM it to me. I'll be looking at your suggestions, and if it's cool enough, then I'll make it. Pretty much what I want your suggestion to be is how the mob looks and what its like animations would be. I'll be looking at all your suggestions and I will be creating them and animate them for my next video. Also, my DMs is off only for trades, so don't DM me your concept on Discord. Just DM your like suggestion on the comments below. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching.